Amazing. Thank you so much, Paige. Okay, so welcome everyone. I am so excited to just drop this training, this series that we have for you guys. This month is it's going to be such a big month. You know, beginning of the year, people have all of their goals. We have the world is kind of reframing their year, setting themselves up for success. And then for us here at Amare, we've got that double bonus happening this month, you guys. And so me, Anna, and Paige really wanted to kind of just dive in and set you guys up for success with practical training for the entire month that you can like take from this, what you learn, and implement it immediately into your business so that we are getting the most people getting that perfect 10 bonus this month. Because I remember the last time they did this and I was so excited and it was so invigorating seeing the amount of people who were getting that bonus. Like this is life-changing money for your family. We already know and love the Focus on 5 bonus, but for them to like for the US, you guys are getting an extra $400, and then for us, it's going to be basically doubled, right? And so I think it's just a huge opportunity, and so we want to give you guys as much information and training as you need so that you feel confident that you can get that this month. So it's a 4-week training. Sorry, I'm just going to pull up what we have for us. So week 1, which is today, we've got an incredible guest speaker, guest trainer, Kate Oakes. She is just like branding extraordinaire. She has been in this game for quite some time. She knows all about your story and social media. And so that's what we're talking about today. It's going to be packaging and branding your story, which is so, so important and is the foundation, I think, for how we can build our business in a very authentic way. So I'm just going to share my screen so that we can get into it. Actually, I'll kind of give you a preview of what's to come so that you guys are kind of piquing your interest. I'm not going to say who the other guest speaker. Oh yeah, it's already on the floor, so everyone knows. But next week we have the incredible Kara Hamming. She's going to be talking about Happy Juice, basically the product knowledge, the science, so that you get really comfortable with what Happy Juice is. When someone asks you what is Happy Juice, you know exactly what to say. Week 3 is going to be finding your next brand partner. So that is all about recruiting. We've got our guest speaker, Chelsea, who is just incredible at that is her wheelhouse, is recruiting, finding brand partners, talking about the business with confidence and enthusiasm. So we're going to really nail that down for you guys so you can get on your stories and feel confident talking about what this business opportunity is that we have and like getting excited about it. And then our final week is building a strong business with placement. So this is all about back office structure, how you can maximize your paycheck and what you can do to set your business up in a way that it's working for you and you're not having to hustle every single month to try and make things work in the back end and find where you need to place people. And that is going to be Ainsley. So we're going to kick it off with Kate, file through everyone, all of these incredible leaders, and then finish it off with Ainsley. So I'm going to share my screen now, you guys, and let's get into this. Just let me know if you can see it, please, so that, sorry, I never know where to put the, what's it called? Zoom. Okay, can you guys all see my screen? Amazing. Okay, so week 1, let's get into it. Branding and telling your story. Okay, hold on. How do I like get this guy out of here? Here we go. So you guys can see everything. Why your story matters. Can you see that slide, everyone? Yes? Amazing. Okay, so this is so important. Like I said, this is the foundation of how you're going to share, right? Like having a product story that your audience can connect with is so, so key for making that connections. Connecting with people, building relationships. You have to have your own story in order to be relatable, to be trustworthy. You're building that know, like, trust factor. And part of that is telling your story. And so we want you guys to get really comfortable and confident telling your story. Making sure that it sounds authentic to you, that you feel really good with sharing that day in and day out. So connect. What we want to do is take people along on a journey of transformation with the products. So I tell my team this all the time, but everyone loves a comeback story. People love being taken on a journey from beginning, middle, and end, and through the nitty gritty too. They want to know the ins and outs. People are nosy, right? It's like the age of the influencer. We want to see behind the scenes of people's story. And so that is where you come in, like sharing from the very beginning, and then taking them along through the entire process really gives them a Me Too moment. They want to see themselves in you, where they can actually relate to your story and say like, oh my goodness, yes, that's what I've been struggling with for the past how many ever years, or this is exactly what I've been feeling. We want to have as many moments like that and connections with that with our audience, so that we're basically bringing them in with us, right? We want to bring out the pain points in our story as well. Tell people what you were struggling with. Were the issues that you had? Why did you even, get to a certain point? What were you going through, or what kind of trials did you come upon? Was it physical, mental, emotional, financial? All of those things. We want to make sure that we're pulling that out of our story, and telling people about it and talking about it on a regular basis. And then what drew you to Amari in the first place? Like, what was the reason? What piqued your interest? Was it that you saw it all over social media and were like, hey, what is this weird thing? Did you laugh at the name and kind of roll your eyes?
Like, I thought you were coming and I stopped knocking.
Oh,
I
sorry,
can
guys.
hear you. I'm sorry.
Muted.
I'm sorry. You didn't have a key?
If we could just make sure we're all muted, guys.
I want one.
Thank you.
Sorry, Paige.
I'm coming tomorrow. I'll just get through both packs.
This too. They buy one, get one free.
Okay. Thank you.
One.
Yeah, it's them.
Hey, Becky.
Okay, got it. We're good. Yeah, what drew you to Amari in the first place? How did you find out about Amari? Where did you see it? Like, and talk about it, even if it was a negative connotation that you had when you first saw Amari. I think that's something that's kind of common with so many people, is they're like, oh yeah, I saw Happy Juice and I rolled my eyes. Or I saw this girl saying that it completely changed her mental health. And I was like, yeah, right, from a drink, there's no way. Like, that actually is relatable to people, because I'm sure so many of us here, maybe when we first heard about Amari, we were kind of had the same attitude, was like, yeah, right, there's no way. So we want to be making those connections regardless of how it looks or where it comes from. And then differentiate. I can't even say that word. You are unique, okay? Your journey is unique. It sets you apart in a crowded market. We know that the health and wellness is like booming right now, right? Especially this time of year. And so people are coming out of the woodworks. But what makes your story different? What makes Amari different? What makes Happy Juice different? You guys, we are the only ones who are talking about not just gut health, but your nervous system and psychobiotics. These are things that you want to bring out in your story in order to so people can kind of weed through the crowd and find what's special, what's specific. And then for you specifically, there is someone out there who is going through the exact same thing that you were when you first started Amari. And so talk about that. Your story can resonate so powerfully with somebody else, more so than me or Paige or Anna or Kate, right? We are all so different and unique, and our stories are different and unique. And it's the reason why people will buy from me over Kate, or from Paige over Anna, right? It's because our unique story. They see themselves in that story, and that's the reason why it resonates with them. And then sharing your story, finally, it empowers others to believe what's possible for them. So how many of us have sat there and just thought, like, watching people thriving or so happy on social media, and you're wondering, like, why can't I get there? Like, what is she doing? Or how is she so happy? Or they're feeling like, I need something. They're at the end of their rope and they have nothing to reach out to. And they're wondering, like, I need something in my life to transform myself, to transform my situation, to change where I am. And then you come on and you start telling your story, and they can see themselves in that, and they go, oh my goodness, if it's possible for her, then it's totally possible for me too. So that's why it's so important. Why our story matters is all of these things. There's so many key points that bring out your story, and continuing to tell it over and over that will draw in so many different people, that will make you relatable, that will build trust, that will build that momentum to continue growing your business. And I think that's it for me. Correct? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna pass it off to Paige. And you just let me know what you need for me to move and we'll continue. How do I mute myself, guys? Here we go.
Okay, you guys, I'm going to talk a little bit about frameworking and crafting your story. So, we really want you guys to get so comfortable in being able to tell your story in a number of different ways, and different avenues as well. So, like, you can talk on your stories, you can make a reel, and there's so many different things you can do. But one thing that rang very true to me when I first started with Amari is so many people are battling this silent thing that not many people talk about until you start to work with the mental wellness company. And it's so easy, me coming from the standpoint of like a fitness and weight loss business, it's so easy to do like a before and after for a fitness transformation, let's just say, right? Like it's so much easier to put up like a post of you a little bit heavier and you all fit. And like that's just you doing something amazing for yourself. And that's also something to be so proud of as well. But there's something so different about mental wellness, right? Can we all agree that like just getting uncomfortable and sharing something that's probably to a lot of people until this became a thing where we talked about, how we were feeling before and how happy juice has made us feel. Nobody really talked about it, right? And so we've kind of pushed past that barrier with Amari, and it's just so nice to see it being more talked about. But that is usually the pain point. So, like, what was it that you were experiencing that when you saw your upline sharing about it, made you think, that's something that I would want to try, right? So you're going to want to focus on that pain point because that is the pain point that's going to bring in your ideal customer, right? Like a lot of people will relate to my story in particular because I was struggling with anxiety and PTSD and postpartum depression. So people who are struggling with that category of things, I mean, Happy Juice helps with so many things, but people who are struggling with that category of things are usually the people I attract, right? And that's, if you're not sharing those things, you're not going to attract those people, right? So focusing on that pain point and then trying to do the turning point. And I don't know about you guys, but do you also feel like you can't really share that you are in a hard place until you've kind of like pulled yourself out of it? How much easier is it to say that I was struggling a lot last year and now I feel better, right? It's so much harder in those moments to actually say, I'm struggling right now. Until you've found almost like a solution, it's almost like you want to hide away and not share those struggles. But it's up to us for a viewer's perspective to see the reverse, right? So if you're talking about who you were and getting super specific, like Kalea say, Me Too moments, right? If you can get super vulnerable and like it's pushing past a comfort zone, right? But if you can get vulnerable with people, that's when they're going to get the Me Too moment. When I had to share that I was locking myself away in my office to cry, a lot of people can relate to that. Not many people, when that's actually happening, will hop on their stories after and be like, I just cried in the closet, right? But a lot of people that can put themselves in that position because they've felt that before will relate to you. And I'm just using this as a broad example because that's my story. But I want you guys to get comfortable in sharing those sort of harder parts, but with the light at the end of the tunnel. Like that's what we want to show people, that even though everyone can go through a hard time, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and Happy Juice can help get you there. So the transformation comes from how your life has improved since then. Right? And then what action can your audience take to experience a similar transformation. So you can say, this is the exact protocol that I've been using. I have a $10 off code. Let me know if you want more information, but always following up your story and trying to get in a Me Too moment with somebody, and then adding in like what you can offer them to help them. So that's sort of where like the seen, felt, found solution sort of feel. And a lot of people will, if you are building that trust foundation with them through consistently sharing it. So we're trying to explain to you guys that this can't be something you just say once, right? You have to say it in short form, in long form, in live videos, in reels, in whatever avenue feels best for you. Do it more often there, but don't shy away from doing it in other places as well. So this is the framework. And I really want you guys, if you've never done this before, to start doing it, because it really does. It helps so many people just hone in on like why they should trust you with this. And they're not going to trust you with this if you're fluffy about mental wellness. Honestly, you do have to get a little bit more you have to get a little deeper down than that surface level stuff that you would see from, let's say, a weight loss transformation. That's a perfect way to describe it, is that yes, so many things can come from like a transformation like that. And I use that as an example because that was my previous business and my body was literally my like sales pitch, right? But with this, it's more about like how you actually feel mentally and on the inside, right? So just making sure that you're getting to that root of why you said yes to it, what it's helped you with, and then offering the solution as well will be really beneficial when sharing and crafting your story. And I think that's it for me. I hope that helps.
Kalea, hang out on that page for just 1 second. Here, go back to it just for 1 second. I want everybody to take a screenshot if you didn't write down those bullet points, because you're going to need this for your homework. But just to like piggyback what Paige just said before we go on to the next slide, this is like packaging your story in a way that when somebody like that, you can share this in a very precise way. Like that's the whole point of this, is so that when you get on your stories, and we're going to talk about all the different ways that you can share in just a second, but so that when you go to share your story, whether it's face to face with somebody or somebody reaches out to you or you're sharing on social media, it's vulnerable, but it's to the point as well, because we don't want you to lose people if you go talking for 20 minutes about it. Like, yes, you could do that, but when you're sharing on social media, you don't have that type of opportunity, right? And so when you guys are crafting your story this week, I want you to like say it to yourself over and over again too. Say it out loud, record yourself saying it, and tweak it until like it's something that you're comfortable sharing. So let's talk about all the different ways that you can share your story. Clay, you can go to the next page, the next slide. So diverse ways to share your story, because here's the thing. We don't want you just to share your story like in one way. We don't want you just to get on stories and share your story. We want you to take that story that's filled of tons of little specks of gold and share it in so many different ways. So I'm just going to go over some different ways that you can share your story. And then we're going to take it a little bit deeper. So obviously like short form content is going to be the most popular these days. That's Instagram Reels and TikToks, using trending audio to highlight key moments of your story, pairing it with visuals, with on-screen text to tell a mini version of that journey. So Reels and TikToks are going to be the most popular right now, just because short form content is the most popular. And so that's where you're going to find yourself sharing your stories the most. But you're also I want you to share your story in your story. So after this week, and this will be part of your homework, you're going to get uncomfortable. And with your face to the video, you're going to record yourself sharing your story, and you're going to save it to a highlight bubble. So sharing your story in your stories is going to be something that we want you to get comfortable with. And then also learning how to share your story and different aspects of your story in your captions. Because reels and TikToks can only say and share so much. And really it's about that caption that you're able to maybe share certain aha moments that you had, or one specific struggle that you had in your story. Because like everybody on this screen, your story is complex. It's dynamic. It's not just straightforward. There was probably many different pieces along the way, many different struggles, many different moments. And sometimes we can't share all of that in one moment, in one time, in one story or one reel or one TikTok. And so you're gonna get good at sharing those different aspects of it within your captions when you're doing your short form content. I don't know why I keep saying contact. The next one is long form content. So live videos, TikTok lives, Instagram lives are an incredible place for you to get on and share your story, or even Facebook lives if you're on Facebook. Those are a great way to record yourself sharing your story and invite other people from your audience to get on live with you and ask questions. Then there's visual storytelling. So these are photo slideshows and carousels. I love carousels. I love the carousels these days that are the same picture, but they tell the story as you go through that same picture. These can be paired with short captions, with each step of your journey. So that each part of the framework, the pain point, the turning point, the transformation, and then that invitation at the end. You can also do infographics, create a timeline or a visual journey of your transformation. For me, like my journey of getting past my mom rage didn't happen overnight. It was multiple things that happened along the way that I realized that it was even happening. So I can draw that out in timeline, not for somebody, or even go behind the scenes, share candid moments that connect to your story. So, we all still realize that happy juice is amazing, but stress still happens, right? Like we all still have stress in those moments and chaos in our lives, but happy juice helps us to maybe encounter those better, react to those better. But sharing those moments in your stories or on a reel, from that moment takes you back to like that vulnerable spot and keeps it real with your audience, and continues to share your side of the story, the struggles that you're still facing or the routines that you're still having to change in your life. Because as much as we'd all like to be finished products, we're not, right? Like things are still going to happen to us. Life still happens. You can also do interactive content, polls and quizzes. Create a poll around your pain point. This is a great way to share your story, is starting in your stories with a poll about the different pain points that maybe you experienced, or beginning to ask different pain points that your audience might be experiencing, and then taking one of those further because that is your story. And doing Q&A sessions. I love the ask me anything question bubbles. So you can do an ask me anything that's based around your story and things that you experience with your story. And then there's repurposing your story. So your story, like I said, is dynamic. I want you to think of it like a diamond. A diamond looks one way when you hold it, but if you turn it in different directions, because of all of those cuts that are in there, it's going to look different. It's the same thing with your story. Your story is one story, but if you just turn it slightly, it's not a completely different story, but there's a different perspective of your story. If you turn it back another direction, there is another glimmer from your story, a different aspect of it that you can share. So your story isn't just one beginning, middle, and end. There's so much in between in different perspectives. And we want you guys to get really good at sharing your story over and over and over again, but in just a slightly different way each and every time. And so you're going to get really good at repurposing your story, I love this example, using quote graphics. Turn a key lesson or motivational snippet from your story into a shareable graphic. Maybe there's something that you held on to through your journey that you can share with others, and then highlight reels. Save your most impactful moments, story moments, to a permanent highlight on Instagram. So that's what you're going to actually do with your story this week as part of your homework. Clay, go to the next page. And then just some additional ways for a seamless integration with your story is be consistent. Your story should flow through all aspects of your content. Don't feel like you have to share the full story every single time. Sprinkle elements throughout. So, share parts of your story in your story, and then your reels get another aspect of your story. Maybe you do carousels one day that have a different part of your story. Like, don't ever feel like you have to give somebody the whole thing, the whole movie in one setting. Give them trailers all throughout. Trailer in your story, trailer in your reel, trailer in, long form. Give them different reasons to come and learn more about who you are and what your story is. And then speak to your audience, tailor your story to address their struggles, aspirations, and emotions. 90%, like 99% of the time, the person that you attract is the person that you were like 6 months ago, a year ago, a year and a half ago. It's the person that you were before you started onto this journey. That's typically who most of us are attracting, because we're talking about where we were and what has happened. And so make sure when you're sharing your story that you're tailoring it to that. You're talking about those struggles, the things that you wanted, and the emotion behind it. The hardest part about this business is that we a lot of times, like, we don't have before and after photos, right? For a lot of us, it's a mental thing. It's an internal thing. And as much as I could, like, I love that I wish I could take like an internal picture of like what my anxiety and my mom rage and the weight and all that stuff looked like before, but I can't because it's invisible. It's that invisible weight that we all carry, and what it like looks like now, not so heavy, but I can't. And so you have to make sure that you bring the emotion into that. Be vulnerable. And then stay fresh. Rotate between different formats and perspectives to keep your content engaging. You don't want to just show up on your stories day after day, sharing the exact same story. Maybe you wrote it out, sharing the exact same thing every single time, the exact same way. Like, your story is full of different flecks of gold. And so find those, write them down, and go and find different ways to share it each and every time. I think I have homework on the next page, Clay, right? Before we get to Kate. Okay, let me give you your homework for the week, and then I'm going to let Kate close this out with just some incredible branding training. So this is your homework. This is what we want you guys to do. We want you to write out your story based upon the framework and share it with your leader. So you're going to have to write this out, and you're going to have to send it to your leader and share it with them. Then, to help you with that diamond, to help you with the flecks of gold, we want you to create a story vault. So list 5 to 10 key moments or lessons from your journey. This is going to be key when it comes to creating content, because when you need ideas for different ways to share in your stories, or different reels to make, or different carousels to make, you're going to pull from these key moments or lessons to help you create that story that you're going to share that day. Once you have written out your story, you've sent it to your leader, you've talked about it, maybe they helped you cut it down or add more things. Maybe they know your story and they're like, hey, you're missing that part. Like, you really need to share that part. We want you to go into your stories and share this in your stories. Now, here's the key. You got to keep it short. People lose attention span after the second slide. And so if your story takes you 5 minutes to share, you're going to have to pick the most important pieces and cut it down for this piece of homework. Make it like 3 1-minute slides max, so 3 minutes max. And then we want you to save it to a highlight bubble. So if you have a highlight bubble that says like my story or start here, that's what you're going to save it to. And then choose another additional content format. So you're going to select an additional format, maybe that's reel or carousel or post, and map out how you'll share your story that way this week. So this week, before we get to next Monday, you're going to have shared your story at least twice this week, once in your stories and once in a different type of format. And then practice sharing. Post your story in at least 3 different places this month. Track what resonates most with your audience. So pick different formats to do. Maybe you go live one day. Maybe you do a reel and a carousel, and then your stories a couple different times, and track what people are resonating with. Maybe it's the type of format that you're using, or maybe it's the specific struggles, emotions, vulnerable things that you talked about in that specific story. This will help you narrow in on what do people want to hear more about when it comes to your story. So take a screenshot of this real quick if you didn't get a chance to write it all down. I look forward to hearing all of these stories in this next week and seeing all of you guys share. Tag Paige, Kalea, and I in your stories and in your reels and stuff when you do this, so that we can go and watch them and cheer you on and check this out and give any constructive criticism if it's necessary. So that is your homework for the week. And now I'm super excited, Clay, you can go to the next slide, to have Kate come on and share. When we were brainstorming this series and we were thinking about who can we have come to each and every week and like just really bring it on that specific subject across the board. We knew that Kate was the woman for the job. And so I'm actually really, really excited to hear from her. Like, if you ever go to her Instagram, it's absolutely incredible. The branding that she does and the way that she shares her story is spot on. And so, Kate, I am so thankful that you're here with us tonight, and I'll just pass it off to you.
Cool. I'm so excited. I have two little kiddos up here. So if there's any interruptions, I'm going to apologize in advance. But yeah, I'm Kate. I've been with Amare for just a little bit over a year. And I'm an executive leader in this company, which has been amazing in organic growth. So I'm just going to kind of pour in and show you like some tips and how like I train my team in order to make it fun and make it creative without making it feel exhausting and like burning out and all that kind of good stuff. So when you think about like your brand, I really want you to hit home that like Amare is not the brand, like you are, right? So you need to think about like your passions, like what ignites you, why you wanted to join Amare, like who is it that you are? And that is your brand, right? Like that is who it is. It's not happy juice. It's not happy hormones. Like you need to show up in your stories as you. Like people are following because of you. People are going to follow your page because of the content you're sharing. They're not going to follow you because you're a happy juice girl, right? Like we need to branch out of that. Yes, what we do is amazing, but you are so much more, and that's what makes it so impactful. So when you think about Instagram, like we have a massive, massive tool at our fingertips, like huge. Whether you have 500 followers or like 5,000, I don't care. You show up like you have 100K followers and you talk in that way. You share in that way. Because if you had 100 people at your door and you're going to do a presentation, you would be so blown away that those 100 people were listening to you for that amount of slides, right? So you need to just continue to be repetitive in your messaging, but like they said before, shifting the ways that you do that, making sure your brand is really, really clear. Your bio is super clear. Like you're also a professional. This is a job, right? Like you have the potential here to grow this exponentially. You need to show up in that aspect. I was just talking to someone today, and it's like a blessing and a curse that this is our own home-based business, because we're in control about how we show up and how we do things. There's nobody holding our hands. There's nobody forcing us to wake up and check into a 9 to 5. It's on you. Like the entire year, there's been moments where I didn't feel like showing up, but in any ways, like they've said, you can tweak how you show up on days that you don't really feel like it. Like the other morning I shared a story and it was just my morning lineup of like my lemon juice, 2 GBX fits, and like the sunrise and some education, right? Provide value. Do not just take a picture of a product and post it on your story with no value. Like value is what brings people in. So if you're sharing GBX fit, what has it done for you? Share some science behind it. I'm so glad that like Kara's doing intensive training on just happy juice with you guys, because I always, always, always say to my team, do not just share a flyer. Do not just like send anything out without being able to confidently back it up, because it will make or break a sale. I promise you this. Like if you think about it, and if you've never been on a call with me before, I have like severe ADHD. My mind just like goes all over the place. So I will like branch off, and I'm going to have to like come back, but I'm going to branch off for a second, because sometimes people really struggle with closing sales, right? And I feel like you can get the attention on you, but like you lose it in the connection somewhere. So I'm going to throw a quick analogy out there. You're showing up, someone's in your DM, right? Okay. So you're showing up to a Mercedes dealership and you're like, I'm going to look at this car. Like it's my dream car. Like this is going to be amazing. And the salesperson just hands you a flyer. You're going to be like, okay, cool. I could have done this at home. Like this isn't the experience I want. Amare supplements are the Mercedes. We are selling top quality supplements. Do not just send someone a link to a Dr. Sean video. Do not just send them a flyer. You need to confidently be able to like, this is what it's done. This is what it's going to do for you. Have the science behind it. Have like that confidence when you're talking, and it will totally transform. Anyways, I'm going to get back to branding, but I like absolutely had to share that because I feel like we can lose so many people in that way. And I've seen it time and time again where like people are just sending people to another link or sending a reel of somebody else. Like, oh, like someone's looking for weight loss. So you send them like a weight loss reel. And it's like, no. Actually, I'm gonna venture off again. I have one more key point and then I'll go back to branding. But this is actually such, I love my analogies. Okay, you'll get this with me. So my husband's in Vancouver right now doing a sales call, doing like a sales training. And this is such a good point. It's almost like it was meant to be because we just got off the phone like an hour ago. So he's doing sales training for like a window company and they were talking about sales. So when you think about it, and this is what they're talking about, the pain points, right? Like hitting home, making sure the conversation is like engaged in this. If Mrs. Jones, this is the analogy I'm going to use, and you're going to realize once you get to the end of this, you're going to be like the aha moment here. I promise, stick with me. If you're selling Mrs. Jones a window and she is like talking about the draft and you notice black mold everywhere on the window and you're like the black mold, she doesn't give a shit about the black mold. Sorry. I know I'm so bad. You guys, I'm so sorry. She doesn't give whatever about black mold. She wants to know about the drafts. So if somebody's sliding your DMs about like Happy Juice, being like, oh, I'm really depressed, and you're just like, it's so good for gut health. No, no. Like focus on that, right? Anyways, branding. Okay. So I want you to think of like reels, and I so ADHD, I swear to God, I'm so sorry. Think of like reels. And when you're scrolling on Instagram, I want you to think of like, when something catches your attention, why did it catch your attention? What did that person do? When you land on a page and you want to hit follow, what is that person doing? Like, why did it make you want to follow them? I want you to take inspiration from that because your people are out there. And if you're relating to something, that means it's hitting for you. So when you're thinking of like creating your brand, creating like, you know, how you want to show up online with your Instagram, I want you to start thinking about who can I help? Who is my target audience? So this is going to look like when you're thinking about making a reel, do not just like, and I'm like literally speaking to myself right now because I've been lazy and doing this lately. Do not just like be posting facts about Happy Juice in the caption. Like I want you to be talking to yourself in the caption of you 6 months ago. You are hitting home. You're talking a story. You're not just being like, grab my Happy Juice bundle, like it'll glow up your life, stress, anxiety, and listing what it does. I want you to talk to somebody when you're thinking about that caption and make it personal. Like sharing your story is so impactful. And like they said, you can do it in so many ways. If you're using Kids Happy Juice, like talk about that, right? Like it doesn't have to be one thing over and over and over again. I'm really good at incorporating really different ways that you can talk about things on your story. So for instance, like Kids Happy Juice, my little dude was so constipated to the point where we were on like pediatrician enemas, like Restore Relax pumping in him, nightmare, regressed from the potty, was terrified of it. Now he's literally going to the bathroom like on his own. He was just in there trying to take a poo with my dad. Like so good, right? So that like if I'm making their Happy Juice, you bet I'm throwing it on my story and resharing that because the people that maybe saw it a week ago are not the same people that are going to see it today. The way the algorithm works, like they will not be repetitive. I promise you. If you follow somebody, I'm going to use like a like to know influencer. Say you follow someone because you just like their vibe, but they share a lot of fashion stuff and maybe like you're just like, I just follow them for them, not like the like to know links. Do you unfollow them or be like, oh my God, she's sharing way too much about her like to know outfits? Like you just skip by. Like who cares? The people that don't want to listen to it will just skip on. They're not going to like think less of you. They're not going to care. They're not going to be like, oh my God, she's doing this again and like skip. But the ones that are hitting, it will land. They're going to continue seeing that in different ways. You're going to continue talking about it in different ways. They're going to really start to be like, oh, okay, right? It took me forever to buy. You guys, in this economy, you have to be showing up. It used to take so much and so little for somebody to buy. And you have the impulse buyers, but right now, funds are limited. And I will hands down tell you, if somebody's back is against the wall and they need help and you're sharing their story and pushing on your story of what is like happened for you, right? You're showing up, you're sharing, they're listening to that, it's gonna hit. And I'm talking about like not just showing up and being like, oh, really helped me feel better. Like they said, like you have to get deep, like relate to people, talk to yourself 6 months ago. It's going to make all the difference. I promise you. Authenticity is hands down, like people see through the BS. They see through it so easy. They see through, we have an amazing, amazing resource, and that's our content collab chat. But I always tell my girls, if you are throwing a flyer up once a week and making like one half-assed reel a week, do not come to me complaining about sales. Like, don't even. If you haven't hit your 5 and that's like, you're like just half energying, bumped out a swear word there, that if you're just half at like whatever, then like you're gonna attract that. You have to show up. You have to be consistent. Do not just throw up a slide when there's a sale. Like, no. If you're in a pinch, if you're like throwing up a graphic, yes, but at some point in time, you better be getting on your stories and doing a quick, like, this is like, if something just happened, like say your kid just lost their marbles and you handled it really well, like talk about that. Like the old me would have just lost my marbles. I'm doing so well on on like this moment, right? But now I'm not, and that's amazing because now I can show up as a better mom. Now I'm not freaking out at my kids. Now I'm not reacting. Now I'm creating a better childhood for them. Maybe I'm breaking cycles. Like these are important things to be talking about, right? It's so good. Value, I cannot stress enough. Like just providing value, not just sharing a flyer, not just like throwing things up half whatever on your stories. Like really just, this is your brand, this is your business. Like it's so key to be treating this like a job. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I can think. My brain is like spiraling right now. I can hear my spaghetti boiling on the stove. So bad. Oh, I did want to like provide just a little bit tips of reels. So I'm sure like you've had Instagram trading before, and we talk a lot about this, but like the algorithm is ever changing. Like what works last week is not going to work next month. If you have a trending audio that you like save, maybe you're doing a bunch of drafts, like, and it's now like 10 weeks old or whatever it is, it's just sitting there and it's under, I'm going to say like 10K. When you like save a trending audio and you can see like how popular it is, if it's way like 200,000 shares, find a different trending audio. Keep it short, keep it sweet. Storytelling reels right now seem to be really popping off. I'm going to challenge you guys to literally do a storytelling reel that has nothing to do with Amare, but the concept of Amare. Like whatever your story is, whether it was like postpartum depression, whether it was like weight loss, whether it was inflammation, whether it's like you had panic attacks, couldn't sleep before, and now you're sleeping. Like, this is where I was 6 months ago. This is my journey. This is where it's landed. This is how it's like, do a storytelling reel in an engaging and impactful way, right? And also on the flip side, you could do like a really quick, like, 4 to 5 second, and then do like a paragraph where it's your story as well. Because what's going to happen is you're going to entrap people. If you make the first sentence really, really like captivating and making people want to draw in more, they're going to want to read the rest. What the algorithm's going to do is it's going to be like, okay, people are rewatching this several times because people are rewatching it, reading it, right? Does that like make sense to you guys? So the more it plays, the more the algorithm pushes your content. So if you're doing that, you're going to get more views and it's going to push it further. So just like if you're putting out reels and you're like, this just sucks. And like, we've all gone through it. I was literally talking to my girlfriend the other day and was like, my algorithm is just like shushing the bed lately. And like, I don't know how to like get this back. It's exactly what I did yesterday. I was like, I'm just gonna throw up like a quick storytelling reel, and it like got over like 7K. And I'm like, great, back in the algorithm cycle. Because here's the thing, we're always struggling against the algorithm. We're always fighting against it. If you take time off, do it. It's gonna be a little bit I took time off over Christmas. I really didn't post. I was in like Mexico and Whistler and was like, I just could not give a see about this. And now I'm back, like, and now I'm fighting with it again. But doing these simple tricks to retrain it, you just got to be consistent, right? I think they covered like anything else. Like, just make sure that your highlights are super clear. Make sure it's like not messy. Make sure your page is clean. I want you to question yourself, like judge your own Instagram, or like send it to like a sideline and be like, if you were to land on my page, like, what would you assume from me? Or like, what could you see better? Because if I'm landing on your page, I want to know who you are, what value you're going to bring me in some sort of way, right? Like, if you have something like happy juice girly in your bio, like switch that around to make it more intriguing, right? Like, make it so people are like, okay, but I want to see more. Because we all know there's some people out there that see like an MLM or network marketing in a bio, and they're instantly like, I'm absolutely not following this girl, right? Because she's one of those girls. And like, oh my God, gosh, so sorry. That's so bad. But you got to think, like, why would someone follow you? Is it clear? Is it concise? Is it professional? There has to be an element of professional and cleanness in it, right? Like, it cannot be chaotic. And what I mean by that is like, I don't want like a super bright filter and then a super low filter and then like bright orange over here, bright yellow over here. Like, I want you to think of your Instagram, if like you were gonna go door knocking, and like back in the day they used to go door knocking, right? Like in Avon lady days, like Tupperware days. What is your flyer? That's your Instagram now, right? So think of it that way. What sets you apart? Make it your own. Does anyone have any questions? I feel like I got everything out that I wanted to say. Yeah. Anyone have any questions about like algorithm, Instagram, branding? Super happy to help in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Okay, Kate, that was so good. I love that. Yeah, if we can open it up to questions, like you guys drop it in the chat or unmute yourself if you want to, but please like use this opportunity to ask what you want, because that was so good. I kept like nodding my head being like, yes, yeah. I was gonna like unmute myself and say preach.
I tried to keep it so PG. I'm so sorry, you guys.
You did so good. I am so unbelievably proud of you.
Yeah, if anyone has any struggles, like now is the time. If you're struggling with like anything that I can pour into my team, that I can pour into you guys, like I'm super happy to do that. Whether it's like closing sales, whether it's branding, whether it's like bio, anything like that. Radio
Everyone's
radio silence.
Yeah. No, I think it just means that you literally covered everything. Like, I thought it was so good. I love what you said about the bio. I loved what you said about when someone lands on your page, like what does it say about you? I think that's huge. I call it like your storefront, you know? Like, are they going to walk into your store? That's them following you, right? So give them a reason to do that.
It is. And don't think that like followers matter, because there are people that don't follow me that have bought from me just from reels, right? Like, it's not about the numbers. It's about the messaging of what you're getting out there. And reels versus stories, like I always say, like stories are for relationships, reels are for audience and like getting that attraction and speaking to like your potential customer, right? But when you're talking about your stories, like that's where you're building a relationship. That's where like you're connecting with your followers. But you need to be doing reels equally as much. You need to be talking to not your followers in reels. Like, that is where you're talking to your target people. And because that's what's going to transcribe into sales or followers or anything like that. But I hope that makes sense.
No, I love that. Paige, did you have something?
It's a little bit off topic, but if you want to elaborate a little bit more on closing sales, Becky was wondering if you can just give us a few fire tips about that. I know you kind of went into a little bit of that, but if you could just go on.
Yeah, no, for sure. So with closing sales, for one, like there's a couple key factors, right? So you're not word vomiting. Don't ever vomit on somebody. For me, like I do attraction marketing based, right? Like I had like that's all I do. I don't slide into DMs. I don't like contact anyone. I make them come to me. So for that, I already know they're interested. I already know that there's something in there that piqued interest that they saw on either my account or my stories or something to do with that. And if you think about it, it's your confidence in how you speak about the products that literally is going to connect you with somebody and that personability. So like what I always say is, like say someone comments on my stories or something and asks me a question, I'm always like, yeah, like what are you struggling with the most? Like, and then I relate, I use that, right? Like it goes back to my weird window analogy. That's the pain point. I'm not going to be talking about something else. If like they need help with anxiety, I'm not going to be like, GBX Fit dropped me 20 pounds. Like, you need this. Because they're going to be like, I'm not talking to you about weight loss. Like, I want, like, no. So I'm like listening, like active listening, making sure that I'm engaging and using phrases that like they said back to me. So I'll repeat, like rephrase it in a way that like, okay, if they said inflammation or anxiety, yeah, I can totally relate. I had the exact same thing, like quick and like a not a paragraph, right? I'm not telling them my life story. I'm just like, yeah, anxiety is debilitating. I can totally help you. We can find the solution. This is what I'm gonna suggest for you.
Mom, where's Papa?
I think Papa's downstairs. Dinner soon, okay? Okay. Literally had my dad come here for this because they're chaotic. Okay, 1 second, okay? Can you go find Riley? There's my dad in my bedroom, laying down. Excellent. So, okay, back on track. So I'm just making sure that in a quick way they understand. And then I always provide, like, if I send a cart, this is where people can ghost you, right? Like you send a cart, someone ghosts you. I am not going to be afraid to follow up with them. I'm going to follow up, especially, and I'm going to ask them, is there anything they need edited? Is there anything else that they feel they need? Or like, sometimes I'll just be blunt and be like, you really said you needed support with your anxiety. Is there anything like stopping you from pulling the trigger? And sometimes it's just like, yeah, it's a little bit pricey. I'm going to say the way like your energy comes through how you talk. And I don't care if it's text, I don't care if it's a voice note. If you think this product is expensive, then you're going to portray it that way. And you're going to get a lot of people that are like, I can't afford it. This is way too much money. Like I will tell you right now, when I bought this product, I was like, my visa was way over max. We could barely afford a roof on our head. I still bought it. So if somebody is like, I can't afford this, okay, they're going to continue watching. They're going to, and this is what I'm saying about repeating things. You piqued their interest, right? They're going to continue watching until they hit that break point where they're like, yeah, I want out. I want out. Like she keeps talking about this. I'm going to try it. So continue on, like, and follow up with them. If you send a cart and they're just like, it's just too expensive, cool, add them to your sales list. Like keep a note in your phone or flag, like you can do a really cool thing on Instagram where you can label, I don't know if you guys know this, you can label messages like a lead, sale, like whatever it is. Organize your Instagram that way. So when a sale hits, you know to go back and check in on that person. I will say majority of my sales now, because when I started this, like I was enrolling so many people because it was new, it was exciting, right? But now it's people that have been watching me talk about this for 4 months, people that have been watching me talk about this for the past 6 months. Like it's not like all these people flooding in, right? Like before I was a high enroller and I was like, this is amazing because I had all my audience and it was new. But now it's all the people that are just continue to watch and I'm hitting their pain points. I'm showing up, I'm talking. So when you're thinking about sales and stuff, just make sure like the 3 key things, obviously follow up in like a personal, non-icky way. And make sure that when you're talking to somebody, just don't word vomit. I want you to think of like what would give you the ick. Like we've all had the ick from people when they come in our DMs or like say something to us. Like don't be sending spiels. Don't be sending a Dr. Sean thing unless they ask for it. That's different. That's different, right? Like if they're like, and you think that video is really going to help, like even then I would prefer, like I have never once sent anything to anyone. I will confidently talk about it from myself. And that training with Kara is going to completely help you, because if they know that I know the product and I know how exactly it's going to help them and the science behind it, they have confidence in me versus me just sending them like the website that has like the list of how it's going to help, right? I want you to think back to that Mercedes analogy. Like Amare is a really top tier product. You better be able to show up and explain it on what it can do. Because if you hand someone a flyer, they're going to be like, nope, I'm good. And just like, that's the end of that conversation, unfortunately. Is there any other questions?
This was so good. There is a couple in the chats. Did you want me to read them? Read it, Paige?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so someone said, I'm struggling on what to make reels about. I don't know what to do in my reels. I post on daily stories and try to be creative, but life just isn't exciting.
Okay, you need to figure out what you're passionate about. What excites you? Like what inspires you? Is it like when you're scrolling through reels, what reels light your fire? Like what is it about you that makes you stop on that reel? Like when you think about content creation, we get in these lulls and it's overcomplicating it. It doesn't have to be hard. It can literally be just sharing a moment, like of anything. Like I like struggled with my, I don't know, I'm running out of brain space, but like you know what I mean? Like today my kid lost their marbles, and usually I would react this way, but this is how I reacted instead. And whatever, like meet me in the caption for what I did to change this perspective. Or even if like there's a quote that you saw like that resonated with you, or although that's a really bad advice, please don't start sharing quotes, but like you know what I mean? Like you have to figure out what inspires you for sure. Like what lights your fire? Is it motherhood? Are you in a motherhood season? Are you in a marriage season? Are you passionate about your marriage? Are you passionate about date nights? Are you passionate about health, wellness, recipes? Like you're going to burn out if you're just pulling strings of like random content. So that's what I would say to that.
That was so good. Yes, love that. I think that's pretty much it. Does anyone else?
Can I just thank you so
Yeah,
much for coming on tonight with us? That was so amazing. And we are so grateful to have your time, even with all of the chaos. We're really appreciative of that. But I feel like you should go make your dinner.
I know my kids are like,
we loved it. That was amazing.
We are so grateful. Everyone say in the chat how happy we are to have Kate tonight. Thank you so much.
It'll be so good, you guys. This is an amazing, amazing month. Just close it out hard. Like you can get your 10, show up daily, no excuses, no, I'm tired. There's no reason that you can't post on your story and like provide some value of what you're taking that day. Like it's so easy just to do that, and just keep that in mind.
Thanks, girl.
Bye, loves.
All right. Well, we'll
amazing.
see you guys all next week. We'll see you
Yeah.
next Monday. Thanks so much. We'll get the replay posted so you can get it out to your teams and tag your friends. And if you have a group chat, I would encourage